And the next thing I know, that's the last thing I remember. Okay. Because they brought me in the ship. And as I found out, that's when they put this substance into my pineal gland. So next thing I know, probably an hour later, I'm back to where I was standing. And immediately from where that ship had been, it immediately, without me seeing it moved to the northwest sky and stayed there. So I'm all excited. Wow, I got to show everyone this, because our youngest son, who is at his last semester at Clarkson at that time, and his fiance were with us. And so I run upstairs, get my wife, wake her up, say, you got to come see this. This is just gorgeous and everything. So she gets up to start getting dressed. And I go try to wake up the kids, but they don't wake up. I push them off the bed. I kick them a little, and then I gave up. So Laura and I go outside, and we got right to where I was standing before, and I pointed right to where I was. Now look at that. She goes, oh my gosh. She'll tell you this. She goes, it's absolutely gorgeous. So for 40 minutes, we watched this craft. It's all GPS. I mean, one thing that I was trained about is about taking really good notes, on everything immediately. And so I have all the azimuths, the GPS locations, the times, the distances between objects, everything. For 40 minutes, we watched this thing go from the right miles away to the left, but you never saw it move, which means what they were showing, they did this 12 times. And what they were showing was that when they do this, they actually stop time. And they stop time using a certain sound very familiar with us, which basically is what we've been told was the sound of creation, the Om sound. Okay, so that's what that device does. That's only one part of the whole story here. So it did this for 40 minutes. And I know exactly where it was, okay? And then all of a sudden I pointed to it, and it was on the right side at that time from where we were watching. I said, now watch this. And when I did that, that thing took off and left the most beautiful, huge red streak in the sky you can imagine. But it went like that, and it was gone. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you said that you lost an hour of time, and you were taken into the ship. How did you come to learn that it was monoatomic gold, and that it was injected into your pineal gland? How did you come to learn that as a fact?
Okay. So we go in and go to bed, and then get up the next morning like oh, we talked a little bit. Oh, that was neat, And so the next morning, I'm set up at the dining room table. Laura's making breakfast, French toast, and I'm getting the computer set up to do what I had to do that day. And I get a request for a video conference, which was kind of strange and not strange, but I mean, it was odd time. And so I accept it. I told my wife, and so it was from a couple people from another intelligence organization who I had a relationship with since '69, I believe. And they were out west in Hollywood land. And they were fundraising. Okay, basically. I asked them, what was up, and they explained to me. They were raising money to try to prevent terrorism. Let's put it that way. I don't want to get into everything, but and I said, "Oh, that's interesting," But I kind of knew the faces, but But then I realized that there was more to these little conference. Okay, they had known about me solving the Gardner Museum case and probably all these other cases that are still under seal. One of their former members, who's now deceased, was a major. He did all the 67 burn cases from the 67 Israeli Arab War. Okay. When I got shot, he happened to be in Burlington, Vermont at the time, because there was a team of engineers from his country in Burlington learning how to make the Vulcan cannons that GE made in the Burlington factory. Back then, they sold this weapon to someone else since then. But in any event, and the reasons why is because I believe the Russians had given these type of weapons to the Egyptians, and that nearly cost the Israelis that war. Okay, so they wanted them, and they got a license from GE, and they had to bring people over here to learn how to build them, and because they have their own factory in Israel. And along with that, if you got some key people, you want some key people that can save their lives if something happens, right? Well, Dr. Charles Barney was one of these guys, and he was the one who was on call. Everything happens for a reason. When I got shot, now I had a hole about this big right here, and you would never know it. I mean, I don't have much for a scar. I have a scar up here from something else, but I mean, right here is the amount of scarring that I have. Guy was a magician. We bonded. I saw him for years. He did a lot of work on me. I attribute him with saving my life. And basically that phone call was, congratulations. We know who you are. And now it's our turn, you know. And the type of people that I've always dealt with, you know, you honor, you honor your commitments. I mean, someone saved your life, they have a problem, you have an expertise, you share that thing. I mean, I don't agree with everything that goes on in the political world, to say the least, but I do know that when it comes to people who put their life on the line to protect their own, they should be, you know, helped, because we get help, we give. Now there's two elements, there's the good and the bad, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. So basically I figured that out, and I said, look, I got three things going right now. I'm not going anywhere until I get these done. And I was asked what they were. And I told them what they were. There's this people I grew up with, their son has been missing, okay? Since 2008 or something around there, 2008 or 2012. Regardless, it's been way too long. Mm-hmm. That's been taken care of. The other one was that terrorist case. Ended up getting the leader of Al-Shabaab cat in Nigeria. Marine sniper who did it showed up at my doorsteps last June to thank me. The other one was, I did that right in front of Jim Comey, by the way. The other one was Gardner Museum robbery. Okay, the painting's going back. Like I said, the only people who've done everything that they said they were going to do were the guys on the other oath takers. Okay, and I've had to arrange to have our agency's job done, and hopefully that's well on its way. It better be. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. So everything again is so tied in. It's just absolutely incredible. So back to my little meeting here, and the guy agreed. He said, that's honorable. He said, we'll see you when you're done. I said, thank you. And he said, by the way, he said, I've got to go. She's got to talk to you. I said, okay. She said, she has something for you. And I said, fine. I expected to see photographs, dossier, something that I could work with, start to work with, okay? Instead, she talked for a minute and she said, oh, she sent this file. Now, I was clueless from what I was given. And it said on the top, list of 150 enlightened people. And I looked at that, and my name was at the top as number 150, and below it was another person that I grew up with. She's younger than I am. Wow. So I called my wife over and I said, what is this? And she Googles it, and she goes, look at this. Now there's, on the internet, there's this list of enlightened people. I don't know how accurate that is. I can tell you it's not totally accurate, because some of the names that they're given are not on that list that I was given. And I know for a fact that the list that I was given, I have historically sought out a lot of these people, not just historically, but when you know who's on the list and you look at their music or their work. Now, the last time the messengers came to Earth was in 1935, according to the records, not by us, but by the Russians' Smersh division of the KGB, which dealt with alien life, visiting Earth or on Earth, okay?
And the messengers, what, like, are they a certain race of ET or multiple races?
Here's what I'm gonna grab the documents that I have, because I have both copies of their documents. Okay. Now, it took a while for me to do my investigative work to find out what was going on, what happened, and who's involved. So I showed my wife this and we start talking. Now, she's on my left side when she came over to the table. And she looked on the side of my head right here, right directly above the center of the ear, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
She pushed on there and I said, ouch. She goes, what did you do to your head? And I said, I did nothing. She said, did you pick at your head? I said, no. I said, why? She pushed it again. I said, ouch. She goes, what did you do? So I put my finger up there and I touched it. And there was this like indentation mark, almost like a semi-scab, but not a scab. In the center of it, there was a hole. You could tell that there had been a hole there. And as soon as that happened, bam, it was like getting hit with a sledgehammer. That's when the downloads started coming, and the realization of everything started coming.
So you had a memory of the missing time that you had that night?
Only little bits and pieces of it, and this has happened. But the more it's happening, the less, the more they let you remember. See, I think what it is, I don't think the human mind can take it all. Maybe if all our genes were working and expressing and everything, but yeah. I don't think, because it's hard enough to deal with this to begin with. The ridicule that you get from other people until other people say, hey, no, I saw it. You know what I mean? Because we
a lot of people don't even remember their dreams. So to remember those experiences in full would be, quite...
In years. My childhood group had a friend that was old enough to buy beer back. He was 18 when we were 16, right? And so I can remember it only cost us $0.25 for a quart of beer, right? Rotgut shot. And his nickname was Bummer. The last name was Brown. We love the guy, you know. He passed away in the fall of 2014, about the same time as my last visit, because that was the fourth quarter moon, and it was the 14th of November in 2014. And so I called our group of friends and I told them that he had passed away. I said, anybody coming home for this funeral? They said, no, we can't, whatever. I said, well, I'll go, I'll represent the group. So I went that day, the Tupper snowstorm day, to the funeral. I get to the church a little bit, I didn't count on the snow. We didn't have it in the valley, but as I got climbing in the mountains, it got sloppy. I get to the church a little late and the church is full. And on the right-hand side, there's a lady sitting there, which was an old friend. Her oldest son was in my first wedding, and we grew up together, but she was friends with my mom and they used to play cards. So I got to know her more later in life. Mm-hmm. And so I sit down next to her and we chat a little bit, and I'm watching this person who's doing the singing and playing the organ and piano. And I asked Marge, I said, Marge, who's that? And she looked at me like, she goes, why, Scott? She said, I'm not going to say her name because I don't think it's fair right now. Mm-hmm. But, and she used to babysit your children. And I said, wow. I said, you're right. I said, she looks like an angel to me. So she laughed, and whatever. And then service got done. And so I sat there till everyone left the church, except this young lady who was picking up her music and everything. And I walked up to her and I knew her name. And so I said it to her and she goes, who are you? And because this has changed so much. And I told her, and she goes, you were visited 3 times and everyone else was only visited once. And now I really was like, what? I said, there's only one person that knew that, because that was just a few nights ago, and that was my wife, Lyra. Mm-hmm. And she didn't know how she knew this, but she knew about the DNA. She said, she continued, and they took a DNA sample from you. I'm dumbfounded now, because I didn't want to talk about that. And I said, how'd you know? Why'd they do that? She goes, I don't know. She goes, well, in case something happened to you, you'd have a 38-year-old body to incarnate into. Oh, that's good news. In any event, so we started communicating more, because now you got to remember, she didn't tell me till afterwards that I knew she was visited, but her visit was in October, which was okay. So in any event, and so we agreed to meet in a few days and sit down, because we had some things to go over and share, which we did in another village. And that basically solved one, I don't know if you want to call it, it's not a murder case, but might as well be, which is coming to fruition here too many years later for the wrong reasons. Let's put it that way. And then we've stayed basic communication since then. But this gave me a kind of a quest about finding these other people on the list that were still alive. Now, back to the visit last time they were here. This is why I'm trying to get back to that story. Mm-hmm. 1935, in what is now Croatia. Here's the last records that we had on this. Okay. This is incorrect, okay? But this is what, I guess the first time you have an experience within this, what you think. Okay, the Smurfs division said they have only contacted humans one time in the USSR in 1935. Well, that area was under their control in 35.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, maybe that's the first time they talked to the Russians, but they've been around a lot longer than that. According to the reports, they spoke some kind of Slavic dialect. They left a written message with 10 sentences. Same message they gave to me. Okay, they came from a galaxy UDF 39546284. Estimated distance from Earth, 13.2 billion light years. Okay, that's why they need to fold space to get here
Mhm.
in a reasonable amount of time. They left this written, as I said, 10 sentences. The distance 13 point. They travel by what other alien races call wormhole, which allows them to bend space. You have to project plasma in a certain fashion. I know how to do it, where you basically the torsion effect of the mandible process. Okay. And it goes out there, the plasma beam goes out there and it basically folds back to you. There's a certain way you do it. You got to shoot more than one beam. And it actually folds a fabric of space. Einstein was right. Space is a fabric that can be folded. Okay. So in order to do this, so you got to stop time, and they know how to do that. Well, I know the devices used and the math and the science, but ask me, how the hell do I know that? It's not my field there. Okay, but get this. This young man they visited, I got to know him in life. Okay. His name was Egon Majevich. Okay. He is the reason that NASA funded an $85 million research facility at Clarkson University.
Mhm.
Now, how strange is that we would both end up there? And our son would go there, one of our sons. And my wife is now finishing her doctorate there.
Mhm.
Okay. So I always knew there was something special about this guy. And then when I had the list, well, I have a list, but knowing this now, I said, wow. Now, what's the deal? Well, he's the reason that life can be sustained on the International Space Station. He knew somehow, their gift to us, how to attach what particle to what particle to what particle to keep, safe on the space station from the certain radiations and other things. Okay. So that's how we got that building. So I had seen him and talked to him. I knew both of his secretaries for years. Actually, one of his secretaries was my wife's, she's now deceased, great aunt.
Mhm.
Okay. Her great uncle is Lieutenant General Leroy Manor, my wife's great uncle.
Mhm.
Okay, you can Google him, one of the most famous, most decorated United States Air Force generals in the history of the U.S. Air Force. My wife's grandpa was the last Sabre jet pilot to die in a crash. Now get this, across the street from where her mom lived and was playing outside. She did not know this at the time. She was only 10 years old. Captain Harold Manor crashed right into the ground. You imagine what that does to one's life, to one child's life, right? The oldest child. So in any event, so these guys, we know they've been space, wormholes, the whole 9 yards. This is what we witnessed that night. Back to my friend Majevich. My son graduated in December 2014. He took an extra semester. And he, at the graduation ceremonies, I see Egon, and I walk up to him and I said, hey, Doc, I got to tell you something. He didn't know I knew already. So I told him what happened that night. And I said to him, imagine an enlightened at Clarkson. And he's like, you know, he's like down here to me. He was short. And he goes just like this. What makes you think you're the only one? And I couldn't help but laugh. And I said, because I know they visited you in 1935. I said, I know everything about it, Doc. He didn't know what to say. He was like, what? So we talked for a few minutes, and then I had to greet my son. And he goes off in the corner. And I swear for 2 hours, he stood there talking to himself. But, and we communicated a little bit after that. And then he passed away. He missed his wife so much. He loved her. I think the following summer. But that's who they visited, and that was their gift. Okay. Now get this. I had a recent conversation within the last month with a certain person. I can't explain everything on this, but she knew exactly who I was. We were dealing on something else, another matter, actually another missing person. And this, but not just a missing person, a very special missing person. Her father was a major in the Strategic Air Command, okay? Mm-hmm. And what was done to the father and mother with this girl who had been missing for all these years is unacceptable to me. So we're doing something about it. This bothers me. In any event, I gotta get back on track here. Here's what I know after talking to a lot of people who have a bit of the pieces of the puzzle mm-hmm. into the documents that we have. Okay, so every time they come 3 years, you know, to do what they did this last time in 2014. They come 3 years before the inbound binary system, which is 217 to 222. Now, why did the Russians black out the message that they gave and then called them the 217s to 222s? Those dates are significant, okay? There's no if, they wouldn't have done it any other way, okay? I mean, you could have used alphanumeric writing if you wanted to call them something differently, but that message is very clear, 217 to 22. They come 3 years before that, okay? They visit one reoccurring soul 3 times, and then they visit these other people who are all involved in the basic, there's a whole basic program with this. It has to do with DNA and male and female and the source. It's an absolutely amazing history, which can be found in these first 2 books that I've been trying to get people to open their minds to. Mm-hmm. So when they do this, they come before the binary system for a couple of different reasons, but the gift, okay, is for humanity, and it's always technical when they do this. And it's very important for humanity to grasp this technical gift, because this technical gift of being able to hold space has a tremendous amount of other possibilities than just space travel. Because like I said, when we were Inuits, the sky came close to Earth. Well, if you, during passage of the inbound, other heavenly bodies, according to Velikovsky, obviously they folded space. Sky came close to Earth. If you can fold space, you can change timeline. You can move a planet, okay, out of danger. Okay, they obviously did it back then. I mean, I'm going to grab the photograph because this is dramatic. Just one sec. This is something I collected when I was in the Pacific Northwest in Alaska for 5 months in 2000. No, it was 1995. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see there's the totem poles around the village.
Yeah.
Now, their reasoning was, the Inuits, was that they witnessed the space being folded because it's kind of like the only way I can describe it, there's a way of describing it. When we were growing up, there was, as kids, there were these whistles, long whistle with a tube thing that when you blew on it, you pulled it or pushed it and it made it whoop, whoop, like that. Okay, well, imagine space going whoop like that and it's being folded right in front of your face, right? You feel like you can touch a constellation. Well, then you can move a planet. Okay, you can, because you're stopping time. When you do that, you have to stop time. So obviously they did it before. Question is, are they going to do it again? That's humanity's choice.
But for what purpose? Sorry. For what purpose, like, do they want to help the Earth and move the Earth out of destruction?
Well, there would, let's face it, we know that, and by studying the true path of Earth's geological and archaeological history, something's happened more than once. Where civilizations went right back down to starting all over again. These books explain why and how it happens. It's all about our DNA, okay? It's all about...
Can you show the books?
Yes. This Child of the Universe basically is a precursor to the next book, okay? And the information that you gain in this one will carry you through it, and it'll be reinforced in the Atlantis one, okay? You see that, okay? Now, these are not fictional books. These books are taken, if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon's work, it's just recordings of these past life regression therapy sessions from people all over the world who cannot possibly collude on anything because they don't know each other and they don't know what someone said 3 years before. And that's what's so amazing about it. And that's why I encourage highly that people have a past life QHHT session, which is quantum healing, hypnosis therapy, and past life regression therapy. It's all in one, not only for your own personal health benefits and to repair your body and your mind, but also for the knowledge that you will gain, how it will open you to the reality of existence, the reality of life, not what we've been taught and told all our lives. Okay. So back to our timeline.
Would you recommend a certain person or people for that therapy?
What I would recommend, see, I only know because our youngest daughter introduced us to this realm, and she had a past life regression therapy, the first one with my wife and I. I mean, the same practitioner was Diane Morrison in Falls River, Mass. Okay, and Diane's a number 3. She's top of her game. She's an incredible person, and so is Sarah Reshman Cosmo. Okay, these people who've done these books, JLF Sullivan, they're all top of their game with Dolores Cannon's thing. Now, Now, I happen to know Dolores Cannon was visited also, okay? So, and her work is just too unique not to notice these things. So I would go to Dolores Cannon's website to seek out, to find a practitioner nearest near you.
Yeah.
And I know that they have becoming so popular now that a friend of mine contacted me 2 weeks ago and said that she's finally got scheduled with someone, but she's down in Key West, and so I knew who that was. It was Sarah, and that she can't get in until next December. And I said, well, I know Sarah. I said, let me see if I can help you. So I contacted Sarah and I said, look, she's one of us and I need her to get in. So the best she could do, she said, she goes, she'll get my first cancellation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I copied the communication and then I sent it to her and my friend in Miami. And she thanked me profusely, and she's waiting for the next cancellation so she can get in sooner. Now, I've been able to find out to use the gifts that they have been given me, but these people who I've had past lives with, okay, it's easy for me to find them, very easy. One of the things with the gift, it's absolutely amazing. It's just not only is your ability to tap into the source, but like they have been teaching me since late winter how to just astral travel at will. It's absolutely amazing. It's getting better and better. At first, it was kind of scary, just like crossing into another dimension. It's not okay, but you. There's certain things that you can get into that helps you do it, but I'm never one to just dive into something like that until I have a good background or experience with it. So when you first put your hands into another dimension, okay, now I have, since the injection, I have been able to see things that people can't see. I see people's auras just like, I see angels, I see all kinds of other interdimensional beings.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had any bad experiences. My worst experience in life is with the corrupt humans. But as far as the aliens go, I can honestly say that I have seen some pretty strange looking things that I would understand that people would freak out about. But I'd like to know why I never had that freak out feeling or anything but this feeling of overwhelming love and knowing, and like, it's like they've been your best friends all your lives. I don't understand. All I know, that's all I've experienced. I'm not saying there's not something bad out there, but I think indifference can be mistaken as bad.
Yeah,
okay,
I can empathize with it because I have had, I do astral projection and I've had those experiences. I don't believe I've ever had a physical abduction or physical extraterrestrial experience. I probably have to have, maybe I'll find that out through a regression or something, but I don't think I have.
Well, I'm sure you have. You have to. I mean, it's just like this, our connection. Okay, it happened for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go into that certain period of sleep, the REM sleep, where we can astral travel and everything, I'm sure that we've had so many more experiences when we were younger that we didn't understand. We were told to get it out of our minds, or you're being silly, or whatever. But it's real, because I want to get back to where they proved to me about the emergential spiritual being thing.
Okay.
So this is October of 2014. Now you got to remember, this has been going on every night since the 15th of September. They're there every night doing something, all kinds of different colored orbs. Why did we have to be in that place, which was exactly between two huge centers where they collect in the Northeast a tremendous amount of aerial data, radar, communications, and then the things that people don't really realize about for detecting different devices that aren't from this earth. That's where we were, right in between two of these facilities. Okay, hundreds of miles apart, but you have to have the biggest sky though. But this was going on every single night. Every single night there was something. And they were doing that for a reason. There's no way that they could be stopped. Now the government bugged our house, which was really dumb of them, because I don't believe they still have gotten their bugs back, because they did call me in and ask me where they were, and they didn't like the answer. But you see, people don't realize, they don't look into someone's background and try to read between the lines, okay? So then they rent a house across the street and black out the windows. I mean, like, what person in their right mind does that? And but they forget that out in the country, especially in a winter night, when a craft comes down the field behind the house and I walk out there to see what's going on and who it is, and someone in the house flushes the toilet, you hear that noise, so the house is occupied. Even though you caught them checking it out one time. When I think about some of the things that has occurred. Now get this. Now I told you that I had to communicate with a certain government official about the Gardner Museum robbery, and he was told to go and to look where these case files were, which he could have access to, which he did, and he called me at 2:30 in the morning, and almost, if I could have punched him through the phone, I would have. But so this leads to an agreement, okay, about how this is going to go down, this case. It's not going to go down any other way. Okay, everybody had their part to do. Everyone's done their part except that one agency, and they best be doing it right now, otherwise they're going to have a problem. So he called me and he said, "I can't believe you did all that." And I said, "Well, they're your files, man. It's just work product." So the only thing I can think of, I don't want to get into some of these other cases because it's not right, and it was agreed to about what I could talk about and what I couldn't. Even though he's not around anymore on the job, at least, if he's still alive, I don't know where he is. A deal's a deal. When I make a deal, it's a deal. Unfortunately for his organization, here's how they screwed up. Okay, when someone tells you, "Okay, I've seen your work, I know you can do it, so it's yours, do it. But you're on your own." Okay, I take people's word. I like to take people's word for that. You're on your own. Well, get this. So I arranged to have a little meeting with my friends from the Irish mob. Not the bad ones, but I guess I can't say that. All I can say is that the ones who borrowed the paintings for an honorable reason. So I made arrangements, okay? And so I did meet. And but here's the problem. when they say you're on your own, good. You know, you guys couldn't solve it in 26 years. And you got suckered into blaming the mafia. And that went south on you. And Whitey Bulger sure paid the price for diming the Italians on that one, which he did. We know the story with John Connolly and Whitey Bulger, right? You know what happened to Whitey when they transferred him to that prison in the Carolinas? I don't know, he was there 25 minutes and someone gouged his eyes out with their thumbs. Yeah, that's how they deal with things. Okay. So, in any event, so we have an older Suburban, okay? And we wanted to take, we rented zip cars. You know, it's a rental business, especially with college things. Mm-hmm. And so we arranged to rent a zip car to go on this 4-day trip. And I had agreed to allow my electronic equipment to be monitored by this agency, like they don't do it anyways. And we rented the zip car, made the arrangements. So when we go to pick it up at 5 o'clock in the morning, this is the weekend of the 24th of August of 2014. My wife decides that she wants to drive it home. It's a brand new zip car. And it was a Prius, Toyota Prius. And so I agreed to let her drive it home. And the way that I had to be parked, waiting for her, okay, the height that I was at, because where it was parked was a little bit higher. I'm waiting for her to get the car started. And she does, and she flips everything on, and all of a sudden, the brights and the fog lights hit me. This is 5 o'clock in the morning, right? I'm just getting awoke, and the next thing I know, this green Homeland Security undercover piece of shit color pickup truck. I swear they had 10 of them. All the same color, because no one would buy that color, and that was the cheapest price. It's pitiful. And so this guy, and I had to tell a story of the Irish mob and several other people, because this is too funny. This guy pulled up in his pickup truck, rolled down the window. So I see him, and I roll down my window. Now he's almost within punching distance. And this is what he said to me. I could see him checking out that we got this zip car that's got a bulge underneath the passenger's front side that shouldn't have been there. And this is what he says to me. He goes, "Howdy, how you doing?" Just like that. I'm thinking, where in the fuck is this guy from? And I'm looking him look at the car and everything. And then I figure out from looking at his piece of shit pickup truck color that they got. I said to him, I said, "Hey buddy, get the fuck out of my face before I knock you out." And he goes, "Okay." And he rolls down the window and drives off. I could not believe he did that. He was there to make sure we were picking up the right, there were 2 Priuses. The one that they tried to put a magnetic tracker up under a Prius, that doesn't work. That's plastic and fiberglass. So what did the idiots do? They run up to Walmart and they get duct tape, but not the real duct tape, the cheap duct tape. And they must have had 50 pieces of duct tape to duct tape that magnetic tracker in the bottom of that Prius. Oh, now I'm pissed because what was the deal? You're on your own. Oh, now they want to follow me. Well, you idiots, you're following my goddamn phone. I put you on. Get this. I said to them, I said, "Look, I want you up on my electronic gear." They go, "What do you mean?" I said, "Monitor all my electronic gear." "We can't do that." "Why is that?" "Well, because we'd have to go get a federal warrant first." I said, "Really?" I said, "Where'd you go to school?" Well, first guy told me it was one of the Ivy Leaguers, right? Well, I said, you should have went to Clarkson. He goes, why is that? I said, because listen, pal, I talked to him worse than that. I said, I live in New York State. New York State's law is it only takes one person to acquiesce to record a conversation. So I'm the acquiescer, capiche? I said, so you can monitor my equipment without going to a federal judge because I just gave you permission to do it. Oh, so they found out that was true. So in any event, we get home to pack the car and I'm looking underneath that vehicle. Now I'm really pissed, right? I'm pissed at the half-assed job that they did. But I'm happy because I know where I can tear that bitch off. So we take off and go. We had a meeting earlier that morning in another city, and then we take off and go to Boston. First time we were going to stay with my daughter and her husband and going to meet the in-laws at the bar that night. I like them. I really do. I'm serious. So I hit a certain drain intake, they call them, on a bridge that I knew that if I hit it just right, it'd rip the tracker off, which it did. Okay. And so then I called in and I told my contact to tell his friends that where they could find it. And the next time they do something that's stupid, it'll go in Lake Champlain. They'll never find it. So now get this, zip cars are all GPSed because I like to know how fast you're driving on. For me, it was like 95, right? Bing. And that comes into the story later in the weekend. So we get down to Boston, a little bit behind schedule, and we get settled with my daughter's house. And then I meet up with our friends at the bar that night, the family. And I finally get this one guy alone, and I just walk up to him, and I had a nice little discussion with him. And for 2 hours, he never left that spot the rest of the night until he finally calmed down and came over and everything. But I wasn't through because 2 days later was my grandson's first birthday and they were going to be there. And so I had an opportunity where I had to tell my son and my daughter, we were sitting down and it was like I said, my grandson's first birthday. And these other people were standing behind him. And so I told my son the truth and he said, I knew it. And this was about my involvement with certain agencies. Mm-hmm. And so we had a little discussion in the whole 9 yards, but I wanted the point to be made clear to my friends in the background. And so that put things on the sour note with my daughter. Okay. And so we leave the next day. That was Sunday. Monday, we leave, and there was a certain store that we like to go to for Patagonia clothing. And so we go into that store and we come back, and all of a sudden my little zip card's not working to open up the vehicle. And so this is strange. So my wife gets on the phone and we get another office that says, hey, look at, all you need to do is download the app and you can open it, which we did immediately, and off we went. Okay. Now here's what happened. These clowns couldn't find me with the tracker, weren't smart enough to follow me with the GPS of the phone or GPSing the car's location. So what they do, they have the company like kind of not let us have access to the car until they get there so they can follow me home. Like I'm going to bring the paintings home with me. So nope. We bypass that and off we go. Now, I had arranged to meet with a certain agency official, the head of the agency, that day to get home. But now we're hours behind because of their stupidity. And so I'm honestly telling you that I was driving 95 miles an hour on I-89 all the way up. And I saw someone that was trying to keep up with me, but he wasn't as qualified or not trained the same way, or had the name, say, had the millions of miles on the roads. And so apparently he really got far behind, because he used a cell phone to call another former director of that same agency who lived in Vermont on the other side of the Connecticut River from New Hampshire. So apparently the phone call came through a little bit before there, because he doesn't live too far from I-89. So he decided to join in on the chase.
Mm-hmm.
That was very, very unfortunate for him. And thank God he's still alive, because here's what happened.